Glad to be here today with everybody, with all these powerful women, and spending my Saturday with you guys is awesome. So I want to start like Rosalind did with a question that many women carry, but almost never say out aloud, right? I know I said this to myself a lot of times. I make more money than I've ever thought I would, so why don't I feel ahead? Or the question is, okay, I'm starting to make the money, but I don't feel secure yet. It doesn't feel like it's enough. If that question's ever crossed your mind, even for a second, then this conversation's for you. Because I know that feeling intimately. I didn't start my career where I'm at here. Like Lima said, I started earning minimum wage, a single mother, finishing my degree, working nights and weekends. I was doing everything the world told me to do. Go get a job, make more money, get another job so you can make enough money, get a third job. It's not enough, right? And it still wasn't enough. It just wasn't. In fact, it got harder. And there was a season where I found myself on welfare. But as I was waitressing, someone told me, one of the waitresses told me, you should get into sales. It's lucrative. I didn't even know what lucrative meant, but but her enthusiasm really caught my attention, and I understood what she meant, right? I understood that it would make me more money, because I understood survival. So I took a chance, and that chance changed my income. But the challenge was that it didn't change my mindset. And years later, after decades of leadership, after managing businesses in the hundreds of millions, I looked at my life from the outside and it looked like I had made it. But on the inside, I had traded the hustle of not enough for the tension of never enough. If you've ever had that version of that feeling, and I know many of you have, I want you to hear from me, say this clearly, that you're not alone, you're not failing, and you're not looking at a personal problem. Because here's what the data actually says. When I looked at the data, 49%, and that's 49% of Americans who are earning more than $100,000 a year, are living paycheck to paycheck. That's an astounding amount of people. 77% of Americans, regardless of income, do not feel completely financially secure. That's more than three-fourths. And 2 out of 3 have no formal financial plan at all. And that's not just a few women with bad luck. That's a lot of people, a lot of people. And the gap between what we earn and what we actually build is not a personal failure. It's really just a structural one. And structural, unlike personality, is something that we can change, something that we can fix. So I want to give you a distinction that reshaped everything for me. The two kinds of financial power, right? There's two kinds. Number one, most women have mastered one of them, and a lot of them have almost no framework for the other, right? So the first one is earning power. That's what we do. We've been able to master that as women. We do a lot at home. We're able to master a lot of things where it takes our effort. The second is ownership power, and that's what we own. And they're not the same thing. They don't grow the same way. Earning power requires you. It requires your time, your presence, your energy. It stops the moment you stop. When you stop working, the money stops coming in. That's your earning power. You have to keep working. There's always a need. Like, I got to keep working because I got to keep earning. But ownership power works whether you show up or not. It pays you while you sleep. It compounds while you raise your children, while you work, while you care for your aging parents, or finally, while you take that vacation that you've been putting off for 6 years, right? It's still earning for you. But most women have been trained formally and informally to build earning power. Get the education, get the credential, get the title, get the raise. For most, we haven't been taught how to become owners. And when I say owners, I don't mean landlords. I mean women who make their money work for them, not just work hard for their money. So the question becomes, how do we actually make the shift? I've spent the last 20 years figuring that out, building a real estate portfolio. Started before I met my husband, but now with my husband, alongside with my husband, building that real estate portfolio alongside my corporate career, making mistakes, learning in public, and eventually helping other professionals build what my husband and I have built. And what I've learned is that the shift has three steps. It's called see, shift, own. The first step is see. Most of us cannot fix what we haven't named, right? And women especially have been trained to smooth over the uncomfortable, to say, I'm fine when we're not, to assume that the problem is us. The gap is not that you're earning too little. The gap is that no one ever built a structure for what to do with what you earn. Once you see that, everything else becomes possible. So you have to be able to see, okay, this is what I earn. The second step is shift. So every dollar that comes into your life needs to have a destination before it arrives, not after, before. So I teach a five bucket system. You have operating cash, protection reserves, opportunity capital, long term compounding, and legacy fund. You don't need to memorize that today. You just need to understand the principle that every dollar has a job. So when you get that paycheck, you already know 20% is going here, 10% is going there, 15% is going here. You decide the job before the dollar lands. And then once the buckets are in place, the decisions of where your money goes stop costing you mental energy every single month, right? Because what happens is the check comes in, you're like, oh, I got to pay that bill off. Oh, I got to do this first. But you have to make the decision for where the money goes first and then spend the money, right? So this is a shift from reacting to money to structuring your money. And then finally is own. Step three. Step three is to own the asset. Because here's the truth. I wish someone had told me this 25 years ago. A well-funded retirement account is not the same as freedom. Really. I mean, it's great to say, I have so much money. I have $1 million in my retirement account, but it really isn't freedom. I mean, when the stock market, I mean, I think I had 500,000 when the stock market crashed in 2007, it went down to 100. I lost all my money in 6 months. So real freedom really comes from owning things that produce income independently of your labor. For most women, I know the most accessible path to that kind of ownership is real estate. One property bought conservatively, held patiently, and repeated over time. That's how ordinary earners quietly become millionaires in a couple of years. Not because they earn more, but because they structure the best. So I want to close with something personal. I believe women were not just called to earn. As women, I believe we are called to steward, to build things that outlast us, to leave provision, not just a memory. There's a verse in the Bible that I come back to often. It's Proverbs 31:16, and it describes a woman of substance. And the very next thing it says about her is this: she considers a field and buys it. With the earnings of her hands, she plants a vineyard. You see, she was not just a woman of income, she was a woman of ownership. A woman who owns her provision can give, lead, and love from a place of rest. When you guys build ownership alongside your career, something beautiful happens. You stop measuring yourself by how much money you're making or by the amount of money you made this quarter. You start measuring by what's happening internally in your life by the time frame that's longer. You stop asking, am I doing enough? And you start asking, what am I building? And eventually you reach the moment every high achieving woman deserves to reach, that moment when your sense of security is no longer tied to next month's paycheck or that next client that you picked up or that next big deal. You become a woman who owns her provision and you can give, lead, and love from a place of rest, not scarcity, not pressure, from a place of rest. So you have already built the earning. Now you need to build the ownership. I do have a gift for you guys. I put together a short guide that walks through exactly what I shared today. It's like I think it's less than 20 pages. You probably can read it in like 15 minutes. But I want to share that with you, and it goes in depth into the specific steps or a step you can take this week. It's called Ownership Over Income, the three-step wealth shift for high achieving women. It's free, and I wrote it specifically for the women in this room and for this event. And so what I'm going to do is I think I can copy this and I'll put it in the chat. I had a slide, but I'm not going to put it in the slide. There it is. Okay, so I just put it in the chat. So please, just go to the link. It's free, and it won't take you that long to read it. Hopefully, it will be helpful for you, and hopefully, you'll be able to take a step right away as you get that book. So, in closing, before I hand it back to Lima, I want to leave you with one last thought. The women who change their financial trajectory are not the ones with the highest income. They are the ones who decide to stop drifting, name what they wanted, and build the quiet, unglamorous structure that actually gets them there. You are already the kind of woman who shows up, who takes the harder step, who bets on herself when it would be easier not to. So here's my ask. Starting today, build with that same intention, but for yourself, for your future, and for the legacy you are here to leave. Go build something that outlasts you. Thank you.